Israel is bombing Iran relentlessly. But the truth is, this couldn't have happened without collaboration of Arab rulers in the region. Israel used Syrian airspace to refuel its jets as it struck Iran. The jets which launched to refuel the Israeli planes took off from Al Udeid base in Qatar. Iran is being punished for its support for the Palestinian cause. In the region today, you have the axis of resistance, which is constantly subject to war by Israel and the United States, with the aid of the axis of assistance. And the Arab Iron Dome, which surrounds Israel, makes up that axis of assistance. Ask yourself, what have those rulers ever done for the Palestinian cause? And what is their current role in the Gaza genocide? Egypt has been a key facilitator of the Israeli genocidal blockade on Gaza for over a decade. Egypt worked at the beginning of the Gaza genocide to extract extortionate amounts of money from Palestinians attempting to leave Gaza for the enrichment of a businessman very close to the Sisi regime. And now the Egyptian government is stopping those inhumanity with a conscience from reaching Gaza.
Have you ever heard an Arabic woman trying to breastfeed her flaccid child as it dies and her breasts are empty because she's been starved? For the love of humanity and for the love of Islam, please don't do this. Allow us to march to Gaza.
In Jordan, King Abdullah has done everything he can to protect Israel, from arresting Palestinians to facilitating the interception of Iranian drones over their airspace and stopping them from reaching Israel, to taking part in the land bridge which helped Israel circumvent the naval blockade by the Yemeni armed forces. Across the region, rulers preside over billions of people who are deeply opposed to what Israel is doing. However, those rulers have existing covert business relations with the Zionist entity occupying Palestine. The son-in-law of Donald Trump, Jared Kushner, set up an investment firm by the name of Affinity Partners. He described it as a corridor for Gulf investment in Israel. Where did the money come from for this investment firm? $2 billion from the Saudi government and millions more from other governments like the UAE and Qatar. This Saudi-backed project, Affinity Partners, acquired ownership of Israel's largest shipbuilding company, the Shlomo Group. Following October 7th, the Shlomo Group provided military vehicles to Unit 5101. That is the Shaudag unit, which was responsible for raiding El Shifa Hospital. This company, Shlomo Group, provides the majority of ships for the Israeli Navy. So it's entirely possible that the Israeli ship which raided the Madeline, led by Greta Thunberg, was built with Saudi and Gulf money. What else has Jared Kushner's Saudi-backed firm, Affinity Partners, been up to? It now partly owns Phoenix Investment Firm, another Israeli company, which has 2 million shares in Israel's largest arms company, Elbit Systems. That's money directly from Gulf rulers into Israel's largest arms company. More than 85% of the drones used in the West Bank and Gaza are from Elbit Systems. And Phoenix Holdings is Elbit Systems' lone institutional shareholder. Phoenix Holdings not only sponsors but ensures the building of Israeli settlements in the West Bank. Phoenix is also key to Israel's Adopt a Soldier project, which helps new Israeli soldiers become acclimatized to their surroundings. What about the UAE, home of Dubai, where millions of people, and Muslims especially, flock every single year to live their best life and pose on Instagram? That same UAE is directly involved in the military infrastructure around Israel's genocide in Gaza. A deal was signed in 2021 between the UAE state-owned arms firm Edge Group and Israel Aerospace Industries to develop drones together. That's not all. Edge Group owns 30% of the Israeli defense contractor Third Eye Systems. The Ghost Soldier system, which Third Eye rolls out, assists the ground forces in their operations around the Strip. And during the genocide in Gaza, Third Eye Systems increased its value by 51%. 30% of that company is owned by a UAE state-owned company. G42 is a UAE company headed by the National Security Advisor of that state. It has a joint venture with Rafael, Israel's state-owned arms company. In fact, the military connections between Israel and the UAE are so close that Israel established Elbit Systems Emirates, a direct subsidiary of Elbit Systems based in the UAE producing weapons. But the UAE's involvement in the Gaza genocide does not end there either. Its state-owned investment firm, Mubadala, owns 11% of the Tamar gas field, which Israel operates in occupied Palestine. The Israeli military could not function without the gas that it procures from the Tamar gas field. And in fact, the relationship between Israel and the UAE is now so close that Israel Aerospace Industries announced that you will see Israeli and Emirati cooperation in space exploration.
Alongside our partners in the Gulf countries and the Middle East, IAI continues to promote innovative solutions with a clear goal: the development of advanced technologies that will help lead the entire region towards a more secure future. نراكم جميعا في أبو ظبي. See you all very soon in Abu Dhabi.
So contrary to public perception, normalization has already happened between the Saudi government and Israel. The Saudi government has been found to use Israeli intelligence company Celebrite, which is staffed by former personnel from Unit 8200, Israel's military intelligence unit. The Saudis use Celebrite to hack the phones of their own citizens. We know that Jamal Khashoggi, the Saudi dissident who was hacked to death in the Saudi embassy in Turkey, had his phone hacked by the Saudis with Pegasus spyware from the Israeli intelligence company, the NSO Group. A state will not outsource the functions of its external and internal intelligence services to a state that it does not have a very close relationship with. The same is true of the UAE. It outsources the hacking of its own citizens' phones to the Israeli company Celebrite in a deal which was put together by the former head of Israel's external intelligence service, Mossad. The truth is, throughout this genocide in Gaza, weapons have flown from the US Al Udeid base in Qatar to the Nevatim base in occupied Palestine to provide weapons for the Israeli military. There is also evidence that weapons have flown directly from US bases in Kuwait and been delivered to the Israeli military. How do these governments have any control over their own sovereignty when they allow bases in their state to be used to perpetuate this genocide? And what about the jewel of the Muslim world, Turkey, where Erdogan constantly brings up the Palestinian people in his prayers? Well, Turkey, factually speaking, has long trained Israeli pilots on the Konya firing range, allowing Israeli Air Force pilots to use the mountain territory to sharpen their skills at targeting Palestinian homes. And in return, Turkish pilots are also trained at the Nevatim base in occupied Palestine. In fact, Israeli company Dorad Energy supplies electricity directly to Israeli military bases. The second largest shareholder in that Israeli company was Zulu Holdings, headed by Erdogan's close friend Ahmed Zulu. In fact, the Israeli military could not operate without the oil which pumps to it from two Muslim nations. The pipeline which runs from Azerbaijan and through Turkey to Israel provides 40% of Israel's oil. This could have been cut off at any time during the genocide, but it was not. It was also exposed that 4,000 Turkish citizens went into the Israeli military and fought during the Gaza genocide. Where are the legal repercussions for those citizens? At one point, the Turkish government claimed that it cut the $10 billion a year trade it has with the Israeli government. But what was found? That in one day, the supposed trade with Palestine was massively increased. Ships, which supposedly were heading to Egypt, turned off their antennas at the last moment and redirected to the Israeli ports of Ashdod and Haifa. It was even claimed by Turkish journalist Metin Cihan that Erdogan's son, Burak Erdogan, was trading with Israel throughout the genocide through his shipping company. At one point, the Yemeni armed forces even struck a Turkish ship linked to the ruling party, operated by the Orash Shipping, a company owned by Saleh Zeki Sakir, a close associate of Erdogan's party. The Yemeni armed forces warned their brothers in Turkey to stop trading with Israel or they would be struck again. All of this is over a year into the Gaza genocide. What about Indonesia, the most populous Muslim country in the whole entire world? Despite the pro-Palestinian position taken by the government, you have several Israeli intelligence companies who have been able to implicate themselves into the functions of the state. For example, the NSO group, Kandiro, Wintego, and Intellexa are all involved in the runnings of the Indonesian security state from as far back as 2018. These are companies founded by former personnel of Israel's intelligence unit 8200. What about Pakistan, the only nuclear state in the Muslim world? Despite the fact that it has a very pro-Palestinian position, the internal intelligence functions of Pakistan are aided by Israeli company Celebrite. Pakistan uses an Israeli intelligence company, Celebrite, to hack the phones of its own citizens. All of this, when taken together, amounts to grand betrayal of the Palestinian cause and collaboration with Israel's project. What you're talking about here is a global network of intelligence agencies who have developed a reliance on Israeli technology, which renders the governments which supposedly control these agencies subject to extreme levels of leverage against them. If Israel has been able to integrate itself with the security services of states around the world, what does that mean for the functions of those institutions? How free are those politicians themselves? Greta Thunberg, a non-Muslim Swedish activist, said she is willing to die to deliver 100 kilos of flour to Gaza. Ask yourself, what have the rulers of the Muslim world given to Palestine? Despite the fact that those rulers have vast armies and navies at their disposal, they could not muster one act equal to that of Greta Thunberg and her friends. No title, no army, no government, no money, just conscience and humanity. This is a very important story which I am very grateful to Double Down News for publishing. There is a reason you won't see this story anywhere on the mainstream media. I hope that you can continue to support the work that they do here by becoming a member of the Patreon now.